When someone we care about is going through a rough time, it can be hard to know the right thing to say. This is even more true when you need to express your condolences in a foreign language. If your Spanish-speaking friend was grieving, would you know the proper way to show your support? After this lesson, you will. When you meet friends who speak Spanish and grow close with them, they'll be able to share their more emotional moments with you. If you're still working towards establishing these solid relationships, it might be helpful to start out with a Spanish small talk lesson. Now, unfortunately, you may find yourself in a situation where you'll need to express condolences to a Spanish-speaking friend. Well, just like in English, there are different phrases that fit different situations depending on how extreme the circumstances are. Knowing common phrases and when to use them is key to expressing condolences, while also making sure that you don't accidentally say the wrong thing at the wrong time. In this lesson, we'll be covering common Spanish condolence phrases you can use for a wide variety of situations. Now let's start practicing these phrases. You've got the best intentions, but for your condolences to be well received, it's important to pay attention to the context of the situation. One phrase that works in tons of situations is lo siento. It's the English equivalent of saying I'm sorry. For more emphasis, you can also say lo siento mucho, which means I'm very sorry. For example, escuché la triste noticia que tu abuela falleció. Lo siento mucho, que descanse en paz. That would be a way to tell someone, I heard the sad news that your grandmother passed away. I'm so sorry, may she rest in peace. Quick tip. Think about how many different ways we use I'm sorry in English. Now, think about how many different ways we use lo siento in Spanish. For example, you can tell someone you're sorry to hear their family member passed away, but you could also say lo siento to hear something as trivial as them getting a bad grade on a test. In Spanish, lo siento can also be used for a wide variety of contexts. Now, a similar phrase is lo lamento, which comes from the verb lamentar, meaning to regret. Now, it's a bit less common than lo siento because it carries a greater emotional load. You might say lo lamento mucho, which means I'm so sorry. You could also expand that to say lamento tu perdida, to tell someone I'm sorry for your loss. For these last two examples, you might have noticed they have something in common. They both use the Spanish word lo. Now, understanding the common uses of lo can really broaden your vocabulary when speaking Spanish. If you need an introduction or refresher on how this word is used, check out our video on 5 different uses for lo in Spanish. Remember, if you want to learn how to speak Spanish, make sure to check out BaseLang.com, where you can get access to unlimited one-on-one Spanish classes with native-speaking teachers, all via Zoom. The next phrase we're going to learn is one that you only use at funerals. When speaking to the family who has just lost a loved one, you should say mi sentido pésame or mis sentidas condolencias. As you may be able to guess, this phrase means my deepest condolences. But what's the right thing to say when you've just learned that something bad happened to your friend and you want to let them know you're aware of the situation? You can use the phrase acabo de enterarme de esta triste noticia. It translates to I've just heard the sad news. If you're familiar with Spanish vocabulary words for expressing emotions, then you probably recognize the word triste or sad in this last example. When expressing condolences, knowing how to communicate specific emotions is very helpful to get your point across. Now, to get more practice with expressing all sorts of feelings in Spanish, check out our video on the most common emotions. Now, let's take a look at another example that uses triste, which means sad. You can say, me entristece mucho saber la pérdida de tu blank. This means I'm saddened to hear about the loss of your blank. Now, here's one quick tip to keep in mind. Depending on the situation, you should finish the sentence with whatever this person has lost, like tu madre, tu abuelo, tu amiga, and so on. Perhaps you then want to let your friend know that they are not alone during the rough time that they're going through. If that's the case, it would be best to say, te acompaño en este momento de dolor. It's the Spanish equivalent to telling someone, I'm with you in this moment of grief. Another thing that can be very comforting for a grieving friend to hear is how much you cherished their loved one. So if you knew their family member or friend very well in life, you can share something like, fue una gran persona, which means he or she was such an amazing person. Reminiscing on fond memories can be a wonderful way to express your condolences and to offer emotional support to your friend. In order to do this, you'll need to be comfortable talking in the past tense. For some helpful lessons on how to do this, be sure to check out our videos on Spanish preterite and past participle. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any great Spanish lessons. Now, it's great that you want to express your condolences to your grieving friend, and the final step is making sure that they know that you're there to offer any support that they may need. Our final 3 phrases are all great for expressing this solidarity to a Spanish speaker. First, you can use "Puedes contar conmigo para lo que necesites." This can be used when writing or speaking to someone to offer sympathy, and it means you can count on me for whatever you need. Next up, we've got "Hazme saber si hay algo que pueda hacer para ayudarte." This is a great way to offer your assistance, and it translates to "Let me know if there's anything I can do to help." Finally, our last phrase for this lesson is a bit of a longer one. It's a respectful way to show your support for the person who's going through a difficult time. You'll say, "En este momento tan difícil que estás viviendo, quiero que sepas que estoy aquí para apoyarte." In English, this translates to, "In this tough moment that you are going through, I want you to know that we're here to support you." And there you have it. 10 different ways to express your sincere condolences to someone in Spanish. Now, we've covered the basics here, but for more sentence examples and context for when to use these phrases more effectively, check out our full guide for Spanish condolences linked in the description below. Remember, if you want to learn how to speak Spanish, why not schedule your first class with a BaseLang teacher today? At BaseLang.com, you can get access to unlimited one-on-one Spanish classes with a native-speaking teacher, all via Zoom. Try your first week for only $1. Now you know how to comfort your Spanish-speaking friends when they're going through something difficult. But sometimes, the best medicine is laughter. Head on over to our lesson on 10 funny Spanish phrases to round out your vocabulary with something more lighthearted for you and your friend. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.